Greetings from the INS team in New York City. I'm Nikhila Natarajan, and with me is Arul Lewis. So Arul covers international affairs from the UN for INS. We're hours away from Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi's speech at the UNGA, and we're just bringing a quick summary of the key takeaways this week. First, of course, is climate action. Arul, let's start there. Both Modi and S. Jaishankar have put a stake in the ground. How do you see this playing?
I think India had the leading role in the climate action summit because the US boycotted it, and the other big polluter, that's China, didn't send a high-level delegation. It's represented by a foreign minister. So Mr. Modi was a key person there around whom the whole setup revolved. And Mr. Modi made a significant commitment to bring up the renewable sources of electricity production to 450 gigawatts. And he also emphasized various other programs that India has been doing, especially in terms of the sustainable development goals, which range from education and health. So he's made a big impact. So we've got to take it from there.
The second one, to my mind, is that a lot of the action is not what the page one tells you. A lot of it is happening outside of this landmark building. And in fact, we're at the UN Security Council stakeout area for the media. You'll see that behind us. Some of the notable ones that you'll remember from this one?
I think the meetings, there were a total of 81 heads of government and 41 heads of state at this place, and a total of 196 countries and others were represented at the meeting. So, and I think between Modi and Jaishankar, they would have completed this week with at least meeting 75 such world leaders in one place, either in most of them in one-on-one meetings, and in the case of some, just short meet and greet sort of a thing. And it's very important because it gives a personal rapport. It establishes a personal rapport between them. And in most of the meetings, unlike certain other countries, India has focused on bilateral relations and positivity in terms of, like, say, for example, if you took the Pacific island nations, what India can do to help them with their development in terms of solar energy or health and so forth. And that's been really the thrust of India's diplomacy at this high-level meeting.
Third, from the depths of the Cold War till today, this has been the world's most powerful diplomatic platform. It's a great place to reset foreign policy.
It's more a case of restating the foreign policy because when in 2014, just after his election, he made some outstanding statements about what India's attitude towards a foreign policy and how it's going to follow an independent route. And this time, it's sort of a chance for a look back to see how things have worked out and set his goals for the foreign policy goals for the next 5 years of his term. And one of the key things to consider here is how India is going to be a major driver of international economics. And the Gates Foundation Award was for how India is raising its people out of poverty and at the same time providing basic services like health, which meshes in with the UN goal of ending poverty and bettering the lives of people. So I expect that tomorrow his speech would be very forward-looking and not get bogged down in small-time local issues like some countries might do. It's going to be very forward-looking kind of a policy statement.
Yeah, and I think one thing we might have missed out is he's clearly driving most of the messaging towards that $5 trillion economy.
Yes.
He says that in pretty much every speech now. And for the commoner in New York, while Anga is going on, I haven't seen the streets between 42nd, after 42nd and Lexington so empty ever. The cops tell me they've never seen it like this before. And one more thing I noticed this time is that single-use plastic bottles are really going out of style everywhere.
Yes, and in
Finally.
fact, India took the leadership in trying to ban single-use plastic at the UN. and the Secretary General complimented India for its efforts at the UN. It distributed, the Indian mission distributed reusable bags and water containers ahead of the program to ban single-use plastics. And India has also installed a solar park named for Mahatma Gandhi on one of its buildings. And that 40 gigawatt plant, which is supposed to cost $1 million, is supposed to power the United Nations building entirely with renewable source of energy. So that's a significant development. And one more thing I would like to say about trying to build a $5 trillion economy. It's not just economic growth, because he's emphasized a lot about also bringing up the facilities that are available to the people. So it's not going to be just, like a huge build up in pure economic terms, but it's going to be also trying to raise the standards of living of the people, even in similar things like his emphasis on sanitation, water, education, and so forth.
Great. On that note, we'll wrap up. Thanks, Arul.